it's really how you're viewed online by the search engine.
Right.
But the search engine
not by your customers.
Not by your customers.
But by the search engine.
Which is where these other acronyms begin to come into play.
Right.
Because it really doesn't have to do with brand as much in the traditional sense that people are aware, but it has to do with how Google is seeing you not only on their platform, but on now how they're viewing you on other platforms.
Right.
Like, are people typing your name in? Do you have a social media presence? Do you get reviews?
On multiple review platforms.
Right.
Yeah.
On multiple, are people doing this regularly? Are you making changes to your website and adding stuff and content? Is there, I guess, a totality of online and virtual digital interplay?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have a footprint that covers all of these digital channels?
Right.
That establishes you as a legitimate company?
Hey there, guys. It's Nolan Walker and Jason here.
Howdy.
We're going to talk about something pretty interesting today. I think it's the title is Forced to Brand. So forced to brand.
Forced to brand.
And that we're talking about branding your company, right?
Right. Which you may be thinking, well, we always did that.
Right.
But not this way.
I thought about something stupid about this, by the way. Like technically, we're branding our company right now, right?
Yeah.
Like this is our brand. We may, good or bad, we've got a brand, but we're not really. And that's like a little nuanced subshoot of it. We're not really talking about that. We're not talking about branding back in Mad Men days or the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah, we're not talking about the fluffy kind of emotional response branding.
Yeah, we're not talking about old school branding like what you feel when you see something. What do you
feel when you see this logo?
And we're also not talking about branding when it comes to the general public knows who you are.
Yeah,
awareness. Awareness is a lot of things that someone thinks about when branding, and we're not talking about that either. It doesn't have anything to do with it. In fact, the word brand, because of all the connotations that it's had, when people think about it, like if it's something like Coca-Cola or billboards everywhere in TV, that's kind of what people think about, right? Big magazine spreads, and people get this certain feeling, or it's on the tip of everyone's tongue, or they know that brand.
Your company name is the default name for the product, like Kleenex,
Q-tips.
Yeah, Q-tips.
Yeah, so we're not talking about that sort of thing. We're talking about branding as it now relates to someone's digital footprint and their online web presence, right?
Right.
Whether it's on a search engine or whether it's on a review site or social media or a video site. That's what we're talking about, right?
Right.
And we're talking about how that interrelates with, really primarily with how Google feels about that brand. And people back even like, I say this started, the initial chatter on this started maybe back in, back 5 years ago with citations. Would you?
Yeah, when you had citations and like authorship.
Yeah,
started to pop up.
Yeah, and people.
Which incidentally, I've been reading articles. Authorship is making a comeback.
Huh? I have been seeing it on posts.
Yeah, that's actually being weighted more heavily in the algorithm again.
So that was the original place, and people would say, well, you need to have your citations done so that Google can become familiar with you, so you have continuity of your NAP or your name, address, phone number.
Right, I was just about to say that.
Okay, so that, and then NAP became embellished and enhanced with hours of operation and photos, and it kind of exploded from there.
All that stuff that keeps getting tacked onto the GMB.
To the GMB.
Google My Business account.
Right.
Were extensions of that.
Extensions.
And more stuff that had to be consistent across every citation and every listing you had anywhere.
Right. And for a little while, people would say, "Oh, well, this is it. This is it. We're going to put you on 75 or 200 or 300 directories, and not like old school directories, but like American-based directories. And then you're just going to get found everywhere, and everything's going to kind of sync up, and then you're
you're done. That's all you got to do.
And then you're done. And so I guess citations now is kind of just one of the many components of a proper web effort.
Yeah, that's now part of the baseline.
Yeah. But that's where the idea for me and the talk of branding kind of began through the evolution.
Right.
But nowadays the word brand didn't work perfectly, so there's been several, and I still can't think of the other acronym. There was another acronym besides EAT, but EAT's say what that
Expertise, authority, trust.
So it ties in. So there's a new acronym.
It took me weeks to get it to.
Expertise, authority, trust. It's tying in through the SEO community about this idea of branding or how the search engine sees you. Right. And so the force to brand deal. And so now that we have the basics background and some of the definition out of the way, and just to define it a little bit more clearly for IT, is that it's really how you're viewed online by the search engine. Right. But the search engine
not by your customers.
Not by your customers.
But by the search engine.
Which is where these other acronyms begin to come into play.
Right.
Because it really doesn't have to do with the brand as much in the traditional sense that people are aware, but it has to do with how Google is seeing you not only on their platform, but on now how they're viewing you on other platforms. Are people typing your name in? Do you have a social media presence? Do you get reviews?
On multiple review platforms.
Right. Yeah. On multiple, are people doing this regularly? Are you making changes to your website and adding stuff in content? Is there, I guess, a totality of online and virtual digital interplay?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have a footprint that covers all of these digital channels?
Right.
That establishes you as a legitimate company?
So I used to tell people back in the day a lot more. I don't even talk about it anymore. But we used to say, well, you can't do everything. Back when 7, 8, 10 years ago, we started about a decade ago. So, well, you can't do everything. You just need to do more than your competitors. And really, that's not a thought as much anymore.
No.
Because people do tend to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you kind of got to do everything.
Yeah, you kind of got to do.
And it gets added to every year because every time Google adds a new wrinkle to the algorithm, there's a whole new thing we have to think about.
There was a point in time, honestly, where when we had this company where I thought this is going to it felt like for a little while Google was leaning away from stuff that made it complicated. Right?
Yeah.
That it had become more simplistic, but that was a very short period of time.
It was very short. And then it got way more complicated very suddenly.
It just keeps getting more and more complicated. And I would still protest that you don't have to do everything because not any one person does everything.
Right.
But the more stuff that's kind of percolating out there, and if you,
But if you don't do most everything, your competitor can come on and do 2 more things than you.
Correct.
And then
if you wanted to look at it from like a real purist standpoint and everything was the same, and say that all the competitors in your market had done 85 things the same with the same traffic and the same level of content and the same amount of social posts, the same amount of reviews, but one guy did 2 more things, then that guy would technically win above you on the keyword ranking. Right. And so that's probably and when I say forced to brand, I think we're talking about, because I thought this up because I was talking to a guy, and I wrote this down because it was a general idea floating around in my head. I was talking to this gentleman about becoming a client, and he was a throwback from another generation. Okay. And I said, well, and he was telling me about the current company he had, and his website's horrible, just really, really horrible. And I'm like, okay, so he's like, well, tell me how to quantify whether they're doing their job or not. I said, well, sir, we've just been talking about that for 25 minutes, and I'm going to repeat it again real quick. You have a basic template website with 3 pages that hasn't been changed and never gets worked on. And
so your quantity is 0.
Yeah. The content is not going for your local city. It goes for like a region or something. Because the guy probably told him, well, we handle this region. And then they work in this region. And
Northeast Texas or something like that.
It was exactly like that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, well, it wasn't Northeast Texas.
Oh, okay. I just thought I made a good guess.
Yeah, no. It was exactly that premise, though.
Yeah. Which in most cases isn't going to fly. It's barely possible that if you're in a very rural region that everybody in the area refers to it that way and that's what they search.
This wasn't the case.
It could work, but it's so rare that it's barely worth
This was not the case. Yeah. So he didn't have anything. The website was 7, 8 years old. He wasn't anywhere to be found, and he didn't do well, but he had a contract with these people and he wanted to see. I said, sir, they don't do anything. I said, you don't frankly pay enough for them to do anything because you're paying them.
Glorified hosting fee?
It's a glorified hosting fee at $300 a month. They do nothing except talk ridiculousness to you when you call in.
Yeah, your $300 a month is going to pay a customer service rep who sweet talks you when you call.
That's all. We're going to do one about that, a podcast about that. But what clients don't understand is that there is no more money in the till to do anything with except the sale and the sale hustle continuation and really cheap template stuff when you pay someone that.
Right.
That's all there is. Otherwise, that company can't make a profit on it.
Exactly.
Don't care if they're not even from this country.
Yeah, then they yes.
If they're in a developing nation. Jason gets on to me when I call them other things. So, but if they're in a developing nation or whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
they're not going to do it either for $300 even there.
No.
They could there, I think.
Well, in a developing nation, what's happening is they're charging $300 because they figured out that's the level Americans will buy at.
Right.
And the guy who runs the company
is king of the village.
250
right.
of those dollars.
He's king of the
and
village.
doling out $1 at a time to the rest of the people that work for him.
He's got a harem and all the food he could, eat. You know, handing out flatbread to everyone. Just throwing it down the street.
Dollar,
flatbread
dollar,
for you,
dollar.
flatbread for you, flatbread for you.
Flatbread.
Hummus.
Okay, we need to.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, you guys. So I'm talking to this guy, and I'm really realizing that he's from this other generation, right?
Right.
And I said, "How did you find these people that did this work?" And he said, "Well, they called me." I'm like, "Oh," and the story's starting to paint of this guy, and I'm like,
yeah.
And then I got off the phone with him, and I thought about him a little bit more. My brain will just keep kind of grinding on these subjects. I wasn't trying to think about him. I was just thinking about him, and I was like, things have changed a lot since this guy thought, but he didn't know. And I tell you, a lot of our clients are this way, right?
Yeah, huge.
But I was like, you know what? You can go online now, and it really wasn't that long ago. It was like 3 years ago. You still really didn't have enough reviews for most companies.
Right.
You didn't have any way to tell what was going on. Their brand wasn't strong, or their authority,
expertise, authority, trust
is not there online 3 years ago.
Right.
So 3 years ago, it's there. So don't catch me on little semantics, but it wasn't really well formed, guys. 3 years ago, your brand wasn't well formed. You didn't have as much content. And when I say content, I'm talking about not just page content, but videos and social media and reviews and all this other pictures.
Right.
There's just not nearly as much of it that's beginning to become available. But that guy could get online and search SEO companies and look around and read reviews and get educated and make an informed decision. But he didn't do that.
Yeah.
And he probably won't do that again.
Probably not.
And he doesn't understand that he needs to get online and promote his own brand.
Right.
Forced to brand.
You have to claim your brand.
Right.
That's the thing. The brand, you may have a copyrighted, trademarked logo and all of that, and you may be registered and all
provide
that
the
good
best service
stuff.
in the world.
Yeah, provide the best service in the world.
Yeah.
Be the absolute top expert in your field. But Google doesn't know that unless you tell them. And this stuff is how you tell them.
Right.
And if you don't, then you don't claim the brand, and someone else can have it. Someone else can take that name.
That's a great point, by the way, to make on this little subject matter. So 5 years ago, easily 5 years ago, you could have said, you claim that you're the best. We're the best at this service.
Right.
Which everybody does, right,
Yeah,
online.
yeah, number one.
And Google's like, well, they said they were the best, and we've got the content, and we've got the code base. And they would do a little bit of blogging, so I guess they're the best.
They're the best one in the area.
They're the best one to put up.
Website we've seen.
But nowadays, with your brand and your online authority and trust and expertise,
authority, trust.
I'm going to call it T. I'll just scramble it. Trust, expertise, authority. It's T.
That's the T.
That's the T. There you go.
We could change that.
Yeah. So nowadays you go on and you're like, and you can go on and actually do this a different way. You go on and you can tell people. But 5 years ago you told Google and they accepted it through content. Now you tell Google you still need the content as the basis of the click.
But then Google goes out and evaluates what you've told them based on other signals online.
Not just whether you're changing that content based on all the other signals online. It's a great little correlation to make to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now you've got to get reviews, and you've got to have other activity, and you've got to have your website worked on, and you've got to get in your Google GMB and do other stuff to it, and some GMB posts, and some social posts, and some blogging, some on-site changes, and some reviews, and then your brand.
And it goes on and on and on.
So this becomes your digital footprint brand. This is what they're going to view you on. This is what your business is going to make or break on. Still baffles me to this day that people get on and like, well, I'm going to try to do no pay to web people at all. Nothing. What?
We had a client that signed up.
Yeah.
And we were producing their website. And we
True client stories.
True client story. We're going to segue a little because I got to tell this now that you said that. And we had a site completed. We sent it to him for review. And he looked at it and he said he liked it. But then he said, yeah, I got a bunch of leads in this other area. And I'm going to be going to do that for like 6 months.
Right.
So I want you to launch the site, but I'm not going to pay you.
Shut up.
I'm not joking. Ask John.
That's fantastic.
And John, the other partner, is like, no, that's not going to work for us.
But wait a minute. It's web and free, right?
Oh, yeah.
We
didn't just pay $8,000 in payroll.
You
to get
web
that
geeks
completed.
just smell bad in game. That's free, right? Y'all don't need food or shelter.
You're all fat anyway.
Yeah. Live off your flaccid fat reserves for months.
Yeah, and the dude was serious.
Right.
He literally said, I still want your service, but like maybe 6 months from now.
Yeah, that'd
and
be
we're
great.
like, okay, call us in 6 months and we'll launch it.
Right. What did he say?
I think I don't know how it shook down, but I think he's out.
Well, shoots, man.
Yeah.
That's not cool at all.
But it was just exactly that thing. It was like, yeah, I want your website.
Right.
But I don't want any SEO done on it.
So what happens
and I don't
when
want to pay.
the client comes back to the non-branded, non-existent company in 6 months?
In 6 months, he's starting from scratch.
Like,
it's fine that he's getting. Here's the thing: if he's getting leads up in some other town, some other region of his state, with 6 months' work, that's awesome.
He might have gotten a big commercial job,
and
or
that's great. Good for him.
New housing, or who knows.
Let us do our thing, and in 6 months, I mean, we can get a website singing in less than 3.
Right.
In 6 months, it's going to be gangbusters, and he's going to come back and
have business,
waxing fat.
Well, I tell you one thing. I know why he's going somewhere else.
I'm picking up your phrasing.
Waxing fat. You need to stick. Use the vocabulary you've learned. Don't go my route. I use these country sayings because I didn't learn all the other stuff.
I don't know if waxing fat is a country saying.
Is it not? No?
I thought that was like a street thing.
Well, I think us country folk have taken it.
I guess
over.
so.
It sounded good enough. It's like, we'll accept that one.
We'll have that.
Right. I know why he's moved to the other area. Because he's not branded in his own damn area.
Yeah, he probably paid for leads or subcontract.
So don't think that he had
or something.
Some waxing fat contract. Nobody wants to leave their, stomping ground and go live in the Super 8 motel away from his wife and family and friends.
For half a year. Yeah.
For half a year, he's over there because he didn't have anything else where he was.
Right.
Which is... It's crazy that people run around and never get this figured out, never get it done properly. But yeah, so you are forced to brand these days, guys, whether you like it or not. Now you don't have to go on videos like this.
It does help.
It might help, but you don't have to do it. You don't have to crush it early in the morning while drinking coffee and talk to your Facebook Live crowd, right? Or your Instagram.
Today we're gonna crush it.
Yeah. Your Instagram story. Do a little flip to your hair, something cool.
Oh, I don't have any.
And then, or you. There you go. You can do that.
Curled out today.
But yeah, you don't have to do that stuff. But there are things that you have to do for your company online. You have to do certain things. You don't ever have to show your face online. You can still have this massive digital footprint that is an excellent brand and excellent expertise, authority, and trust.
Hey, you got it.
And you can do that and be dominant online. In fact, if you did choose to do this, and things that we're talking about, you'd be one of 1% of companies in your market that have done it.
Right.
And so, believe it or not, you'd be literally in the 1 percentile.
Right. It's crazy how many people don't do it.
The guys who do it dominate the market.
Right.
Actually. And I have people call up and they're like, well, I can't be like Bob. I'm like, why? Well, he's just everywhere. You know, he must pay a fortune to show up. He's got to be paying a fortune. I don't know. I put it on. He's in mapping. He's got tons of reviews. He's got organic, and I go on, I see him on my social media. He follows me around with these ads, so I go to his website, and I don't know where he comes from, you know? And it's like really basic
And by
stuff.
the way, that following around, that's the cheapest kind of
That's
Google,
the
Google and
cheapest
Facebook
paid
ads.
stuff.
That's the cheapest paid stuff.
Remarketing, retargeting, pixel tracking.
Right. It seems like it's like magic or something, so it would be like the really sophisticated stuff, but it's actually the cheapest route you can go, but it pays off.
A few $100 a month.
Yeah.
And for that one, excellent web crew, around $1,000-ish, depending on what level you're at. And then the client on the side handles their reviews properly and uses some fantastic review platform like Righteous
Reviews.
Like Righteous Reviews. Had somebody great do their website, like the webmasters. You know, so, but that guy's not spending that much money. And all you other guys that decide not to do this is the level sum up on this. Well, I guess you're not forced to brand. You didn't brand, so now you're forced to buy leads from other people.
You're forced to pay.
You're forced to pay people that branded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're forced to pay the lead company because they're branded, and that's why you went to them. And now you got to pay them. Or you're forced to pay Google for clicks.
Yeah, you're forced to pay through the nose way more than you would have paid for your own brand, because there's this whole thing called Google Local, GMB. They want to show you in the mapping if you're great. They want to show you in organic. They want you to get reviews. You know, you can show up on the video carousel. There's all kinds of things you could do, but since you didn't, now you've got to go pay thousands and thousands to about 3 different companies that branded that show up in organic rankings, and you got to pay them.
And you get on their carousel.
And now
First taste
that
is
you
free.
decided to spend almost no money or throw your hands up at the first web company that you went with that screwed you around because you didn't pay enough in the first place, or you paid good money and they screwed you around and you stopped. Now you're sitting there and you're paying on someone else's brand, and you spend no money on your own brand, and there's this, I don't even know.
You might as well light that money on fire.
Yeah, it's like not ever investing, or usurious rates on investment. You pay that money and you
that's a good way looking at it, usury.
Yeah.
It's like you got a loan, but you're paying so much in interest.
They got a loan. I got the lead, but it's gone,
it.
and I got to get another one, and they're going to screw me. I know it, but I got to get more.
Or like a payday loan kind of thing.
It is like that.
Yeah.
It is like a payday loan type thing, because you go in and you buy the lead, and you're like, well, they were a really good deal when they roped you in 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But now the leads have gone up 900%.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not an exaggeration at all.
No, it isn't.
I may be low, and so you're buying those leads, and you bought more, and your percentage of profit goes down and down and down. And you call up and you're just angry with everybody. You're angry with web companies,
and
with
digital
marketing agencies. I hear this. I hear this stuff all the time. Dude, I hear it.
Oh yeah, I know.
This is my conversation every day. You realize that all day long.
I've sat in the room.
He has to listen to me. He doesn't have to. I appreciate it, by the way. I'm aware that he tolerates me venting about this on almost a daily basis.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's frustrating to talk to you guys. Well, I've been screwed around, Nolan. You're not saying anything I hadn't heard before. I'm not saying you're bad, but you probably are, just like everybody else. It's like, okay, let's wait a minute. To be fair, let's point out a few things that are different about us. You found us at the top of search rankings.
That's a clue right there.
You called us. I didn't call you.
Right.
You're more educated than you used to be and called us. What else?
You're not talking to a sales guy. You're talking to the owner of the company.
You're not talking to a sales guy. You're talking to the owner of the company. And they go, okay, hold on. I'm not done yet. I got a bunch of them that make us different. We do all the stuff, but actually do it. But you don't know that. But oops, I'll only charge you $99 to get started, even though we're spend thousands. And then once you launch, you can launch after you see the website that was produced. So you didn't pay thousands down, sign a term agreement because we're month to month.
Right. We earn your business every
So
month.
how in there am I like the rest of the people? And why did I do all that? Because all these other jackasses have screwed all y'all around so
Well, you
much.
did it because somebody did it to you.
That's where the company started.
That's how the company started.
But I lowered the monthly nut to get involved.
Yeah.
And went to month. I mean, I'd like to have somebody in. It's fair for what we do to have a 6-month or a 12-month agreement.
It is.
But the problem is that other people aren't doing proper work, and then they're locked in, and they got crap work up front.
Right.
I had a guy talking to me about. He's like, Nolan, I think I want to use you. So they still don't understand it, but they know that I'm not lying from just their gut check of it. But I'm going to check with this other guy. He's got something totally different that they're talking about. And it's a difference between SEO and pay-per-click or paid ads, and which we do paid ads too. We're a Google Ads partner, and I don't have anything against it. But I said, you know what? I said, you don't have to tell me much. I said, they're going to sell you clicks. He said, I think so. And I said, they're going to ask for all the money, and then they're going to spend as much, or as little as they can to make things work properly.
And you're not going to get a direct from Google report. You're not going to really know how much the click
they don't
costs.
really know how much it costs. And this guy was like, well, what was the thing what was my point? The guy was talking about this company and how he said, well, they need to do PPC. He said they're going to do that to get leads for me up front until it gets working. And I said, anytime anybody specifically tells you that, because I would tell somebody if they're brand spanking new that it would take a little bit longer.
Yeah, we have told people
But this guy
that
had
as a part of an initial effort, you might want to, in addition to the SEO
if
effort,
the web effort's
PPC.
brand new, but
Yeah, if
this
it's brand
company told him that it's going to take a while to get his other stuff going, so they're going to integrate all this stuff. Well, that's beautiful. So he's going to pay.
Sounds great.
Sounds great. That's a smart idea. No, it's a bad idea because the company who integrates and charges you a couple of grand and then integrates the SEO, the design, the content, the SEO design and content, along with the pay-per-click, is actually going to do a cheap, sorry template with almost no content, slap that up, and then throw on.
it'll probably look nice.
Then throw
and
on
you'll look
PPC.
at it and think, oh, that's a good website.
That guy's going to take that PPC money and pump it for a month or two, and then throttle down on it until they're at zero, almost zero. They might go to like $500, spending $250.
Yeah, they'll maintain a base level of clicks so that you never flat out
know
leave.
when the map that they didn't have much to do with, although we do get map up and compound, but when they get a little bit going, then they throttle down the PPC and the guy gets dead screwed out of all of it.
Right.
And they did not brand and did not do all the other stuff.
Well, you talked to a potential client recently that had been paying the same company
$1,200
3 years or 5 years or something like that.
$1,100 or $1,200 for no. It was 11 years.
11 years. Geez.
Yeah. it was to the tune of about $200,000.
Yeah.
And they had done what I call that shell trick with it, where they'd taken out pay-per-click, a local yellow page on a really small town,
Yeah.
which only went to people that were clients.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I can't. I've tried to say it seriously, but it's so ridiculous. But it only got delivered to the houses of people that advertised in the book.
Right.
It didn't get distributed to the other homes because people don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't go everywhere anymore.
They just might get dropped off some at the local grocery store until they throw it in the trash, right? And they're like, oh, there's the distribution. And the old guy that had it, the son called me because the dad was older, and
That's right.
the
yeah.
son had called, and
Yeah.
he knew there was a problem. But anyway, shoots, man. I don't know. That's about it. Forced to brand. If you don't, this isn't that hard though. We help you with almost all of this stuff. And
Claim your brand.
it's part of the service at this point. We've integrated with branding and expertise, authority, and trust with this stuff. Integrates through design, content, us working in your GMB account, Google Map postings. It works with our righteous reviews. It integrates into every facet of it.
We literally handle everything we've talked about.
Yeah, all of it's handled through working with our company. And you could do more, like some of your own social postings or some other stuff that you do locally even could increase your brand awareness with the search engines. But we handle like 80% of the stuff here that anything we can through us, we handle.
Right.
So anyway, that was pretty darn good overall, I think, don't you?
I think so.
It was a good one. You guys call us. We'll see you.
Take it easy.